Hi everyone. About a week ago, I received a beautiful shipment of bare root Astilbes, and I absolutely love planting perennials from bare roots. It allows me to control the entire growing process. I have a much wider selection of cultivars to choose from, and it's also just a fun and easy experience. So today we're going to plant bare root Astilbes 3 different ways. We're going to plant some directly into the garden here in early spring. We're also going to take some inside and plant them in pots that we can grow on under grow lights or in a sunny windowsill for a period of time until we're ready to plant them out in the garden. And then we're also going to plant some over in a holding bed, which is basically just one of my raised beds where they can start to grow and get established outside until I'm ready to place them into their permanent location in the garden. So why don't we just get started by taking these bare roots out of the bag and identifying all the parts of a bare root Astilbe. So my package came with 3, so that'll be just perfect for today. So we have the roots here, then we have the shoots, and depending on how long the plant has been sitting in the package, there may be no presence of shoots at all. You might just have just the roots. And then we have the crown of the plant, which is where the shoots meet the root. And when we plant a bare root perennial like a Astilbe or a daylily or a hosta, we want to plant them with the crown at soil level or just very slightly below soil level so that after we water, it settles and is right at soil level. Astilbe is also really cool because when they do take divisions of Astilbe to go ahead and ship to us, there ends up being this flat, hard, almost wooden section. So this is the side of the Astilbe. So we're going to plant it in the ground just like this. And we want our soil level right here, right at the crown. What happens is if Astilbe is planted too deeply, say I planted it this far below ground, this plant is probably going to rot. But if I were to plant it maybe all the way up here, all these roots are going to be exposed to the air. Most likely they'll dry out or they will continue to heave out of the ground, and that can kill our plant as well. So keeping it right there at crown level is just perfect. Astilbes prefer part to full shade, and they really like rich, moist soil. Most of mine are all planted under the shade of large established fruit trees, and they all seem to do really well there. Now you can see that this one has sprouted in the bag, and I've only had this in my home for about 5 days. So really when I get my bare root perennials in the early spring, I like them to be planted into the ground or into some kind of soil as soon as possible so they're not there growing in the bag itself. So let's get started by just digging a hole that's about the depth of the root system. So if I look at the crown of the plant and how deep those roots go, on this one it's about 8 inches. So I'm going to dig us a hole here in a part shade location that's about 8 inches deep. Next, I'm going to place this bare root Astilbe so that the crown of the plant is just at soil level. So just like this. And now I'm going to cover it back up with soil and firm around the roots lightly. Now that looks perfect. And now we'll just water it in well. That's all there is to it. So now let's go inside and plant some bare root Astilbe in pots together. So planting up your bare root Astilbe into pots and growing them on inside your home for a few weeks or a month or 2 is a great option if you get your bare root perennials, but your ground outside is unworkable. Maybe you're covered in snow, the ground is frozen, or it's just too wet out there to get into the garden. It really is a fun and easy way to watch these bare root perennials wake up inside your home. So once again, I just like to take a look at the bare root plant itself to kind of get a good idea of what size pot I want to use. For some bare root Astilbe, I can get away with a square pot like this, but this one is a little bit bigger because the crown is all the way up here. So let's go ahead and use a quart-size container. I already have it about halfway full with potting soil, and I just want to stick my bare root in there so that once I continue to fill this pot up with soil, the crown of the plant will be even with the soil surface. Now we can just fill in around with more soil. And this is pre-moistened potting soil. And then I'll just firm that in. Now just give it a bit of water, and it doesn't need too much water at this point in time. And then I'll place these pots in a nice, bright, sunny location, a sunny windowsill, or I can even stick them under grow lights. Either location is totally fine for bare root perennials. Here's some bare root Astilbe that I started inside 5 days ago. And look how beautiful they look and how much they've grown already. Let's do a comparison. Here's the one that we just started, and here's what you can expect to see about 5 to 7 days later. Really exciting, isn't it? Now let's plant some bare root Astilbe into a raised bed, or what's sometimes called a holding bed. Basically, we're going to plant the Astilbe outside and allow it to wake up in its natural environment and grow on here for a short amount of time before we transfer it to its permanent location in the garden. And I feel like this is a great option if you don't have a pot or potting soil on hand, or maybe you just don't want to mess with having a whole bunch of perennials growing inside your home. Using something like a raised bed to just hold the plants for a period of time is a really great option. So the soil in my raised beds is pretty loose, so I can just dig a hole with my trowel. And this particular bare root Astilbe doesn't have a flat section, so it's even easier to tell the roots from the shoots and the crown where they meet. I think that flat section can be pretty confusing. I know it confused me when I first started growing Astilbe from bare root. That looks great. The crown is even with the soil surface or just slightly below. And once again, I'll water it in. And I can just allow it to grow here in my raised bed until I'm ready to transfer it to its permanent location in one of my gardens. Now, just like other perennials and shrubs, you'll have a sleep, creep, and leaf year. So don't worry if the first year after you plant bare root Astilbe that you get no flowers or only a few flowers. By year 2 and 3, they will be absolutely covered in blooms. And I keep looking over here because I have a large drift of white Astilbe going through this garden, just like a beautiful river of blooms. And that's how I really like to plant Astilbe, really in large drifts so that you can really enjoy their beautiful feathery blooms. And speaking of blooms, the blooms come in a wide variety of colors. We have shades of white, ivory, peach, pink, even red. There's also different heights available. Now, you know, I love to grow flowers for cutting, so I always choose the tallest cultivar possible. But there's also compact varieties that top out at just 10 inches, something that would be really great just at the front of a shady border. Also, they have beautiful ferny foliage that looks good from the moment it emerges. It's a beautiful, almost vibrant red, sometimes orange when it first emerges. And then it looks just like a beautiful fern until the frost takes it out. So really, there's so many great reasons to grow Astilbe, and growing them from bare root is just a great, affordable, and fun way to get the cultivar that you really want and will love to have in your garden. Happy gardening. Bye.